Hey everybody, welcome to our webinar today. I'm Megan, I work at MeetEdgar. We are a social media automation tool and we are so excited to be partnering with Alyssa Coleman today, who's a productivity specialist who's actually going to be leading the webinar, How to Plan a Year's Worth of Content in One Day. Maria, thank you for kicking off the chat over there. Emily, Pat, hello. Please know that I will be in the chat along with someone from Alyssa's team, Lauren. So if you guys do have questions throughout, let us know in the chat there. If one of your questions doesn't get answered, we have a really big group today, which is exciting. But if you do have anything unanswered at the end, please know we'll send out the replay email at the end. And you can just reply to that email if something doesn't get answered that you're still curious about, and we'll get you that answer. If you have any technical problems during the webinar, you'll want to go ahead and just refresh your screen. That'll usually do the trick. But like I said, if anything comes up and you have to leave early, you'll get all the tips and tricks in the replay email. And yeah, one of the best parts of doing these webinars here at MeetEdgar is to make sure we can connect small business owners and marketers out there. So if you see someone in the chat who's in your industry, if you want to drop your handles in to follow each other and to keep up with each other's businesses, we definitely encourage and welcome that. Now, I will go ahead and get out of the way so we can get to the content and pass this on over to Alyssa. So Alyssa, go right ahead.
Hey, okay, I'm so excited for this. Let me share some slides here. I'm going to be taking you guys through something that is really exciting for me and something that I do every single year, which is content planning for the entire year. So we're going to share a little workbook with you. Oh, it's already being shared in the chat right now, which is awesome. And that will help you actually make your way through the webinar. So grab it if you can, and let's get started. So we're going to be talking about how to plan a year's worth of content in one day. And this, to me, is the productive way to consistently put out content that not only gets your audience hot, but it converts. And we're going to do it in a way that doesn't require you to spend hours behind your desk each week, or like opening a Google Doc and just staring at a blank screen wondering what the heck should I be talking about here. Okay, great. I see a bunch of you grabbed that workbook. So welcome. Here's who I created this masterclass for. So I wanted to make sure that this is for all of you who are or want to become entrepreneurs who make a living from their expertise and their creativity. Okay, so this is for coaches, influencers, service providers, and e-commerce entrepreneurs. If you're any of those, this will work for you. Plus, if you want to implement productive systems so that you can hit your targets, like I said, without spending all damn day on social, then this is absolutely for you. And if you want to, not create more content just for the sake of creating content, but you're actually looking for the quick way to create impact and exposure with what you're putting out, then perfect. So during this class, we're going to cover a couple important things. The first thing is my exact method for planning a year's worth of content in one day, like the title suggests, so that you have more time to actually do the things that matter in your business. Plus, I'm going to be sharing with you the pillar process that I use to make sure that the content you create actually converts to paying clients. Like I said, that's why we're all here, right? And how to use content to become known as an expert in your niche without spending all day on social media. So these are pretty important things. We want you to be seen as an expert. We want your content to convert, and we want you to be able to do it without spending all damn day staring at your laptop. Hey, okay, okay, so we have a business mentor, we have a copywriter, we have an automation strategist. So exciting, nutrition coach, meditation teacher, amazing. So let me introduce myself. So if we haven't met before, my name is Alyssa Coleman, and I'm a productivity strategist for creative entrepreneurs and the founder of the program, Your Most Profitable Quarter Yet. I call myself a recovering procrastinator, and during that time, I started to become obsessed with figuring out how people like Oprah, Beyonce, Marie Forleo, all of these people were running empires. They were staying creative. They were putting out stuff that they felt really, proud of, and somehow making it all look easy. And as soon as I started figuring that out, my business really, took a complete 180. And during that time, I've mastered the exact process from taking entrepreneurs from feeling overworked, underslept, to feeling productive, profitable, and free. And from that, what I call the Freedom Rebellion was born. And that's part of what I'm going to be sharing with you here today. So let's get into it. So before we move on, don't forget we have this planner that I created specifically for this workshop, and you can grab it in the little link here, or if you go to alyssacoleman.ca/me-plan, you'll be able to get access to the Google Doc, and you can just go file and make a copy, and that way you can actually type in it right during this workshop. Elizabeth already has it printed off. I love that. That is what I like to see. Okay, amazing. Yeah, so whether you want to print it or actually go to this URL and make a copy and type in it in Google Docs, totally up to you. So let's get into the process. The very first part that I like to take everyone through and what I do, everyone can hear me, right? Let's just make sure the sound is good. Yep, okay, good. First thing I like to do is to plan out your editorial calendar. And the way that we do that is by starting off by creating 4 unique pillars. So I want you to start to think about your business in 4 main pillars or 4 sections. And really what you want to think about when you're creating these pillars that you're going to be talking about in your business, you want to be thinking about the things that you want to become known for in your niche. So these 4 things are really important, and you want to make them count. So I'm going to give you an example here. Let's say Nina is a health and fitness coach. Some examples of her 4 pillars might be self-care. Maybe she wants to talk a lot about nutrition tips, supplements, and exercise. This is a pretty straightforward example. Some pillars that I have in my business are automation. So this would fall under my automation pillar. Calendars, because I love talking about planning really productive work weeks. So you can see it doesn't just have to be like, supplements or workouts. It can be topic-based as well. Okay, so start brainstorming what you want your 4 pillars to be. And I like to envision these as the 4 main quarters of my business. So each quarter, I'll be talking about something new and relevant. And what you can do is you can actually launch or approach your offers according to these pillars. So let's say I'm Nina and my offer is, let's say I'm Nina and my offer is like a 2-month program. You work with me, and during that time, we work on your self-care. We create a meal plan. I create a supplement plan for you, and you have a workout plan. Let's say in the 2 months, that's what I do as a health coach. What I would do each quarter as I'm preparing to get people into this program that I have, I would be talking all month about self-care, why it's so important to creating a really healthy lifestyle. And by the end of the quarter, I'm going to be inviting people into working with me, and I'm going to let them know one of the first things that we do when we work together is create a self-care plan for you. So what this allows me to do is to be able to talk about my offer from different perspectives. So I talk a lot with entrepreneurs who tell me like, hey, I only have one program or one product or one, offer, whatever it is. And I want to be enrolling people in it every single month or every quarter or every day, whatever your, goal is. But I don't want to be saying like the same thing over and over again and sounding like a broken record. So how can I do this? And this is my answer to that question. You get to approach your offer from these 4 different quarters. And maybe you have a few different offers. Maybe you have just a self-care program, or you sell just meal plans. That's cool too. And we'll get into how to approach your offers in 1 minute. So as you can see here, maybe Q1, she's talking about self-care, Q2, nutrition, then supplements, and then Q4, she's talking about exercise. So go ahead and open up that workbook, and I want you to start brainstorming while you're here. What are your 4 pillars for your editorial calendar? What are the 4 things that you really want to base all of your content around? And start throwing some of them out here now. I'd love to hear what they are so I can see what you're thinking about. Yes, Maria. So Maria says my primary package can be broken down into 4 steps. So I'll make each step a pillar topic. This is genius. So, if you have a specific process that you take people through, it's really a great idea to start to talk about each step of your process in your pillars in some way, shape, or form. Then when I'm talking about it, I could say, this actually happens in module 2 of my course, so I'm kind of alluding to what my offer is, which is really great. Okay, we've got accountability and motivation, colleague stories, recruiter tips, ancestral healing. I love like the mix here. Accountability, supplements, yes, yes, yes. branding, personal growth, serendipity. I love that. I've never seen that one as a pillar. Okay, amazing. You guys are so great. I love the way that you already know what you want to become known for. So here's the next step. And this is very important. So you know how I mentioned at the beginning, we don't want to just create content for the sake of creating content. We want to create content that starts to get your audience to see you as the expert or the authority in your niche. And the way that we do that is we have to make very clear what's your unique voice on this specific pillar topic. So what makes your angle different from everybody else? Or what is your like secret sauce, your philosophy, your voice on each content pillar? So if we go back to the example of Nina, maybe she has a whole pillar section all about nutrition. Or maybe she has a whole pillar about recipes, but her unique voice is every recipe takes less than 5 ingredients. Or maybe her unique voice is every recipe is 100% gluten-free or something like that. What's your take? What's your voice on this? This is what allows your content to stand out from the crowd and stops you from just being another person talking about self-care. Everybody can have this, conversations about similar topics, but you have a unique angle on it, and you need to know what that is in order to really, inject that into every piece of content that we put out. Okay, so step 2, grab your workbook and write in there what's your unique voice or angle on each topic. So go ahead and write that in, and I'd love to hear what some of you are thinking already. So Lauren's unique voice is you don't need 100,000 followers on Instagram to land your dream partnerships. I love that. Felicia's angle is to make it funny. At least that's what I hope. I love that you're making it funny. Felicia, I think that's more of like a little spice on the top of it, but I would love your angle if this is the Felicia that I think it is. I know that you're in human design, so I might say, one of the things that is your unique angle is maybe like, one of the things that you talk about in human design is how to have great relationships in human design using your unique human design. Maybe one of your other pillars is like how to get ahead at work, depending on what your human design quality is. And each one of those is still funny. So that might be something that I would consider. Okay, the next thing that you want to ask yourself is, what's the offer that directly relates to that pillar? So if you only have one offer, that's totally cool. You're going to write the same one across the board. My offer for all 4 pillars are the same. If you have a couple different offers, maybe one of your pillars relates, better to that offer than the other ones. And the reason that we want to consider this is because we want to make sure that when we are talking about your offers, it feels organic that you're bringing it up instead of like, for example, me, I'm a, productivity strategist. Let's say I was talking about like some, recipe I'm cooking for dinner. And, then I say, hey, by the way, my program's open for enrollment and you should join in January. It wouldn't feel very organic. It would feel like I'm just trying to like stuff my offer into what I happen to be talking about. And that's not what we want. Of course, you can still talk about other things, and I'm going to share what I cook for dinner tonight, maybe, but we want to make sure that the core content you're putting out can organically and naturally lead to you talking about your offer. Oh my God, Natasha, I love yours. You just said sensuality is the gateway to your inner wisdom, confidence, creativity, inspiration, and ease. I love that. And I even think just as the gateway to your inner wisdom is like so powerful. And I would really lean into that. And I think like confidence, creativity, inspiration, and ease are maybe like the fringe benefits as well. Okay, cool. Yeah, if you only have one offer, then all pillars lead to that offer. And that's actually what I prefer. So go ahead and write that across the board. How does each pillar relate to your main offer? Oh, I like that. Jasmine says, reducing stress shouldn't cause you more stress. Multiple offers can be for each pillar. That's okay. I would write them both under there. But maybe what I would recommend is having different pillars for each offer. I think that would be my primary recommendation, but it's okay if you have multiple for each. Love it. Okay, next step that you want to ask yourself is what does do I have a lead magnet or a freebie or something that's an opt-in that can relate to each one of my pillars? So again, in the beginning, it's totally cool if you just have one main freebie that's your go-to thing. You know it's good. You know it's something that everybody loves. It's okay if you use that for all 4 of your pillars. And what you're going to try to do is find a unique way to link the freebie and the content that you talk about to each one of your pillars. That's totally cool. But maybe down the line, or maybe sometime in 2021, you might think, you know what, I don't really have a freebie that organically relates to when I talk about my calendar. So I'm going to create that in Q2 or something like that. So ask yourself, do I have a freebie that relates to each 4 of my pillars and then leads people to my signature method or to my offer or whatever I have? This is, you know, the reason that I really like to include this when I'm planning out my content. You can see that before I even think about what content am I putting out, I'm asking myself all these questions so that I can effortlessly grow my list with each piece of content. And so if I put out a blog post or something, and within that blog post, I'm talking about my freebie, I want to make sure I have a really unique and, again, organic way of leading people to say, hey, you know, you can take this one step further by grabbing this freebie. So a great example of this, you know, is actually here on this webinar that we're doing here. I created this workbook for you. If I had chosen to make this an opt-in where you put in your name and email and then get that workbook, this would be a really organic way for me to grow my email list, because I would say, hey, you know, if you want to take this a step further, I've got a whole workbook on how to plan a year's worth of content in a day. Go ahead and grab it here, put in your name and email. You want to make sure that you're creating freebies that lead to each pillar. And in the meantime, make sure that you have a great way of relating your freebie to each pillar for now. Awesome. Is a webinar considered a freebie? Yes, absolutely. Cool. And I'll come around and answer some more specific questions at the end. You guys are, I can see you asking some, and I want to keep answering. Okay, so where do you put your pillar? Yes, you put it everywhere. I'll get to that in 1 sec. Podcast is not a freebie because it doesn't require anyone to put in their name and email in order to get the podcast, if that makes sense. Okay, I just asked you this question, so maybe you already did this one in your workbook. How does each pillar relate to your freebie or freebies? If you sell physical products, then how does your physical product relate to each one of your pillars? Okay, and here's kind of an optional step. I like to sometimes have small, little, low-priced offers that go along with my freebie. So let's say I have a freebie all about how I plan my work week as an entrepreneur. I might have a small little offer that you know, allows people to literally steal my exact calendar for $20 or something like that after they download my freebie. And so one of my pillars happens to be calendars. I have, you know, happens to be talking about how to plan your week, anything that has to do with creating a really sexy calendar. That's one of my pillars. So I have a freebie all about how to plan a perfect work week as an entrepreneur. And when somebody gets that freebie, I also offer them a little small offer that is, do you want to just like steal my calendar? Or here's another example, here's a launch calendar planner. And so these are little small offers. And this is something that if you have them, ask yourself now, how does this relate to my pillar? If you don't have them, then maybe start to consider, is this something that I want to include in 2021 as I'm creating my freebies? So I'm kind of maybe dropping a few ideas here for you guys, but a tripwire is not, you know, essential. This is kind of like bonus step if you want to take this a step further. Okay, so now here's where the fun part starts to happen. We're going to get into the execution and creating your weekly workflow for your content before we ever even get into planning the content. So this is what's really important. You want to think about each one of your pillars and underneath start. So what I want you to do is choose one pillar right now and start thinking about 13 blog post topics that could relate to your pillar right now. So choose one of your pillars, choose one that you think is, you know, the easiest for you to write content on. And let's take a second here to start brainstorming 13 ideas for that one pillar. So what you can see that I'm doing here, as you guys start filling that in your workbook, I'm going to answer some questions. But what you can see that we're doing here is we are starting to create 13 pieces of content for each pillar. And if you do that, you only have to think of 13 things you want to talk about calendars. Once you do that, then you're going to have 52 weeks of content, a full year of content if you do that for each pillar. So I'm going to get into a little bit of how I recycle all of this content, all of that, but let's start mapping out what are 13 ideas that you have right now. If they could be blog posts, they could be podcast episodes, they could be videos that you want to create, they could be live videos. Just choose something audio, written, or video for your main piece of content and write 13 ideas that you could talk about in a way that's super high quality. Yes, Felicia, 13 for each pillar, but for now, just choose one pillar and we'll do one together. Emma, can you redefine what a pillar is? Our company is beginning to define what we even are. Okay, so a pillar, it basically is just 4 main topics that you kind of want to be known for. So Emma, what is your business? Christy, could you do a reel instead of a blog post? You could, but I would prefer to take something that's a little bit more long form and then create more reels from that content. But you could start with a reel, totally. But basically the pillars are topics that you want to become known as an expert for in your niche. How can you get 4 pillars from makeup or skincare? So Emily, maybe your 4 pillars, okay, so let's say you are a content creator and you talk all about makeup. Maybe for you, your 4 pillars are, you know, budget-friendly skincare products. Makeup that, you know, your second pillar is makeup that doesn't break you out. Your third pillar could be maybe, you know, how to shop for ethical makeup or like something like that. So these could be like 4 pillars that you talk about. And maybe one of your pillars what could the last pillar be? Makeup and skincare, makeup and skincare. Maybe it could be like skincare routine or something like that. Cool. Yes, absolutely. One of your pillars could be your mission. Absolutely. Yes, Tara, your pillar topics will sometimes overlap. Absolutely. Okay, someone already has 13 for their branding pillar. Yes. Yeah, so you're a musician. You should absolutely be able to create a lot of stuff about being productive as a musician, or how to create, maybe one of your pillars could be how to create a home office as a musician, like a home studio or something like that. Just really depends what you're interested in talking about, what you think you are a bit of an expert on, and those are the best things to usually create your pillars around. Yes, there will be a replay. This could absolutely work for nonprofits and you don't have to change anything. So just really depends on what you like to talk about. So let's say I'm creating I work for a nonprofit that helps girls go to school. One thing that I could talk about is a whole pillar could be all about the school and about things that we're looking to create at the school. You know, maybe one of our pillars is all about the girls who are going to school. Maybe you want to talk when you want to showcase one of, you know, the girls every single week, if that's something that you want to do, and like talk about what they want to be when they grow up or something like that. A third pillar could be all about some of the things that they're learning in school. And then the fourth pillar could be all about why you should incorporate donating to this cause as part of your business model or something like that. That could maybe be an idea. How's everybody doing with their pillars? Great. Okay, yay, I'm so glad you're finding it helpful, Amber. You're done, Julie. Okay, amazing. Still trying to decide how specific to get. I wouldn't get too specific. For example, calendars is like pretty broad and I can talk about a lot of things in there. So I could talk about month planning, I could talk about week planning, I could talk about actually creating a calendar, I could talk about workflows within your calendar. So it's a bit broad. I could talk about my favorite tools to use with calendars. So you can keep it pretty broad. Maybe you could have a whole section that's like tech. That's so broad, but it's something that you want to be known for. And maybe you want to be known for, you know, high quality tech on a low budget or something like that. I keep coming back to budget, but I find that that's something that's coming up this year. Amazing. Okay, great. So let's move on to the next section. So now what I like to do is to create some sort of system that we're going to use week after week. So I'm showing you an example here of how we lay out our content plan using a project management software called Trello. It's free. I really like it, but you can do whatever you like. You can have this on paper. You could have it in Asana or ClickUp or whatever you like to use to manage your projects. What we like to do is we like to create one pillar, one little section for each one of our pillars. And then we create basically this table that I share with you in the workbook. We basically create that with cards in Trello. So under each pillar topic, you're going to see a section where I put just a little card that has content ideas. And I kind of use this like anytime I'm out for like a walk or I'm like in the shower and I'm like, oh, I have an idea for my calendar pillar. I'm just going to write it in there and come back to it later. I make sure that I always have an area for my lead magnet that where I can, link to it to make sure it relates to that pillar, my topic, my voice, my offer, it's all here. And then underneath, I'll have 14 cards with my specific content that we just wrote out under each pillar. So you're 13. I write 14. This is a little spoiler. I write 14 just in case sometimes I don't like one of the ideas that I originally planned, or I don't feel like doing that one. I always give myself one extra so I have a little wiggle room. So I like to use software, but you can do this on paper however you want. You can write it out right within the workbook that I shared with you, but I'll show you a little bit of what we like to do. So right within Trello here, I'll have a little checklist of my weekly workflow. And there's some other cool things that you can do. We could have a label that says something like upcoming blog post. This is a piece of content that's about to come out in a couple weeks. Then, we can set a due date and we can start mapping out, all right, I've got these 13 ideas for this one pillar. When do I want these to come out? I know I want them all to come out in Q1, or maybe I want them all to come out throughout the year. So I start putting dates on everything. So now I literally have 13 ideas for each pillar and a date that I want each one to come out. Really cool. And then you can change the pillar to published once it's done. And you can also see that we have our workflow checklist. So I want to share with you how to create a weekly workflow, because I really do think that this is what takes having your content to the next level. So I want you to ask yourself, what will be my content execution workflow? So what piece of content am I going to start with? And let me give you an example so that I can maybe give you some ideas. So here's our workflow. First thing that we do is we plan the topic with a sexy title and a call to action. So you've already started to plan your topics, and you might want to zhuzh up the titles and kind of add in there, like, maybe your topic was like how to plan your work week. Then I might go in and change that to say how to plan a super productive work week as a solo entrepreneur. That just sounds a little bit better. It's something that's more enticing, more clickable. So I would go in, create this sexy title, and then think about what's going to be my call to action at the end of this piece of content that I'm going to put out. Then the next step for us is to film the video. So I personally start with a video, but you could write your blog as the first step, or you could record your podcast episode as the first step, IGTV, YouTube, go live on Facebook, whatever you want. Step 2, create the content. Then after we've created the content, we actually repurpose it and turn it into a blog where I can add in my freebie and stuff like that. Then we write an email, schedule that out to my list. Then we create a reel on the exact same topic. So this is where I come back to that question that I actually forget who asked, should I start with a reel? You could, but what I actually like to do is create some long form content that I can then repurpose into a really quick reel, about the same kind of thing. And I find that allows me to create, a lot more content with just one content idea. So then we create the reel, Then we actually write an Instagram post on the exact same topic. So we usually take a little blurb from the video or from the blog, and we turn that into an Instagram post. We turn it into Instagram stories. Then we create some pins, and then we use MeetEdgar to recycle all of that week after week. So let me show you how this looks. And you start brainstorming, how do you want your workflow to be? What's first, what's second? And this is super important to creating content productively and making it super quick instead of something that takes you hours every single week. So we plan the title, and then we think, okay, what, let's say, we want to use this blog post here, the productivity hack that rich people use. And spoiler alert, the whole blog post is about creating systems in your business. So I think, what a great call to action would be is to use this freebie that we have that's called Profit Systems for the Modern Entrepreneur. So I've planned my title. Then I film the video and we put it on IGTV. We put the video on YouTube, but you could do this, like I said, with a podcast, whatever you want. Then we repurpose that video. So you can see the video here. We repurpose it into a blog post. And what I love about creating a blog is it ends up being this thing that lives on your website that can be an asset for a really long time, and it's not owned by Instagram or YouTube or anything like that. And in case somebody wants to read the blog or doesn't want to read the blog, they could watch the video. And I also am able to grow my email list by adding a little section where they can see my freebie. So that's why we have that whole lead magnet section where it makes a lot of sense. Every time I talk about systems, I lead to my Profit Systems freebie, right? And this helps with, delegating and stuff to your team as you grow. So it's definitely a great step to take as soon as possible. Then we also do something else, which is interlinking with old blog posts. So step 3 is to use the power of a Pomodoro. And you can see here, I've linked to an old blog post all about using Pomodoro. So I really like to do this as well, which keeps people on your website for longer and binging your content. I call this the Netflix effect. You want people to get in and then just start thinking, oh, what else can I, consume of her content? And you want it all to be really good. Then we write and schedule the email and we send that out to our list. Then, like I said, we create the corresponding reel that literally has the same content ideas. And I'm by no means a real Instagram reel expert, but this is the process that we like to use. Like I said, we create an Instagram post. Whatever we talked about in the video, we use as our caption. And same thing, we create some Instagram stories that get people to watch the IGTV or go to our blog or whatever you want. Then we create some pins that drives traffic to our blog post. So see how I still have only created one piece of content this week, but it ends up trickling into all of these other pieces of content. This is the power of having a really, really high value original piece of content. And I absolutely love creating a workflow so that you create the content and then all the rest is taken from there. So let's go back to that question. What will be your workflow for putting out your content every single week? What's going to be your weekly content execution workflow? And I'm sure there are a lot of questions about this. So let's hear what some people are saying. Okay. Yes, I do have templates for the pins, absolutely. Do you do all of that every week for 52 weeks? So what we do is we create all of the content ideas so we create 13 ideas for each pillar. That creates 52 weeks. Then what we do is weekly, we create the content. So I film the video and then from there, the Instagram post, all of that kind of comes from that one video. So yes, we do that every single week. Well, I mean, there's some, for example, in a couple of weeks, we're taking time off for the holidays and we're not going to create content that week. So I guess maybe it would be 50 weeks or something like that in our case. What software do you use to create videos with subtitles? Oh, great question. I use a software called Subtitle. I'll type it in here. And it creates the captions for me. Okay, So we've already got Twins saying that she is going to, oops, oh, I lost your, okay, YouTube, which you'll turn into a blog post, which you'll send as a newsletter, which will be an Instagram post, and you'll send that to Pinterest. Yes, okay, you got it. That is like so perfect. And then I'm going to show you how to use Edgar as well to like repurpose that so that it keeps working for you way afterwards. You implemented this method in your recent course launch, and it was so incredible. Yes, it sounds like a lot, but it really isn't. Yeah, absolutely. As I'm describing it, it does sound like a lot, but I know that when you create it, it really only takes a couple hours, especially if you already have the idea with the sexy title and you know where it's going to lead to and all of that. If we already do weekly podcast interviews, would you suggest taking the 13 weeks of topics in these interviews to do the breakdown? Yes, Tara, I would. So if you're already doing weekly podcasts, I would think like, okay, what pillars do my podcasts generally fall under? Are they interviews with people who are, you know, all in the health space, or, you know, maybe it's like we have interviews where we talk about entrepreneurship. We have interviews where we talk about we have interviews where we talk about this, and then think about, do I have somewhere to lead people for each one of those types of interviews that we do? Let me know if that helps. Most writers are introverts. Yes, exactly. I'm just sharing my personal workflow. You don't have to do video if you don't want to. You could go blog to, you know, Instagram post. You can choose of your business you want to be showing up in. These are just the ones that we personally use. You could do Reddit, you could use LinkedIn, you can use absolutely whatever you believe your audience is hanging out at, whatever software or social media platform you think they're hanging at. Okay, Sabrina's going to do blog post to Instagram post to IGTV to newsletter. I love that idea. Right. Do you focus on just one pillar at a time or go between pillars until all 13 are done for each pillar? That is like dealer's choice, whatever works better for you. I personally go between all pillars throughout the year. But for example, you know, if I'm going to be opening up enrollment to a course that's all about New Year planning, I'm only going to be talking about the stuff in my planning pillar for quite a few weeks before I open enrollment. I'm kind of using that pillar to get people thinking about my offers in the right way. Okay, I love, 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 love seeing your seeing all of your workflows. This is so good. Yay! Okay, awesome. So I showed you my workflow. You write down yours. And now we get into step 3, which is when you get to actually create inspired content. Okay, so you've started to map out the 13 ideas for each pillar. You should have already done one of your pillars, and after the workshop, I'd love if you take the time to write out 13 for your other 3 pillars as well, so that you feel super, you know, prepared for all of next year. And now you get to start creating. So now that you're free from the stress of thinking about what am I going to write, what am I going to talk about, does that content lead people to actually see me as an expert, or am I just writing about what's in my smoothie this week? Does this content actually lead to people getting on the phone with me or taking me up on my offer or seeing my offer as something that's you know, interesting to them? Now you don't have to think about that. You can actually create your content from a place of inspiration because you've done the planning work that's a little bit more strategic, and it has to, you know, we've answered the questions. Does that lead to my freebie? Does that lead to my offer? So I want you to schedule some time to write each post or to film each video or whatever your workflow is every single week. And I want you to put that in your calendar. I think it's really important to set deadlines that are really specific, but also super realistic. I find entrepreneurs always, you know, overestimate how much they can get done in like a super short amount of time. With content, I like to kind of buffer, you know, a good couple hours in order to create that content so that I don't feel stressed or behind when I'm creating my content. I want to feel inspired, and I want to feel like I can show up in a way that feels good instead of me feeling like, oh my God, I gotta get this done this week. I gotta get this video out or whatever it is, right? So when are you going to create the content? I want to hear your day to hold you accountable. Yeah, Jen says, we seem to think there are 45 hours in a day. I agree. I do the same thing, and I see that happening all the time with entrepreneurs. We're like, yeah, everything I want to do in 2021, you know what? Actually, I'll just do it in January. Okay, Laura says Monday and Tuesday. That's amazing. Saturday and Sunday, great. Thursday will be my content day. Yes, okay. So what I want you to do is actually add this date to your calendar. And what I actually like to do is create a recurring, chunk, a recurring event in my calendar with a good chunk of time that says every Friday or whatever it is, I create content from 10 to 2. And during that time, I film the video, I start thinking about what I want the blog post to talk about and all of that stuff. A couple of things that you can think about when writing are, these are a couple things that I want to share with you. So the first thing is think about titles that address a need or explain benefits of the topic that you're talking about. So rather than saying, self-care 101, that's honestly not too enticing of a headline. If I said something like the 5-minute practice that allowed me to feel more connected to myself in 2020, then I might be interested. And even if the whole blog post is all about self-care 101, I'm more enticed by that headline. And definitely, if you want people reading your stuff and you want it to convert, think about addressing a need or specific post or watching that video. I like to use strong headlines and switch up the formatting. So I like to use bold and italics to visually break things up, or use emojis and stuff like that. That's a personal preference. Use numbered lists or points when you're creating a blog post. So rather than a big chunk of text that kind of feels like a textbook, start breaking it up, give people lists. I find that really works well. You can include fun images that are of you or really relate to your brand or to your audience. And make sure that you end each post or video or blog or IGTV with an action that you want your audience to take. Think, what is the natural next step that they could take? Is it to download your freebie? Is it to book a call with you? Is it to purchase your product? Is it to, donate to your nonprofit? What is it? So think about each one of these things as you're starting to create your content. Now, in the workbook, you'll see on the last page, I've created a little section here where you can actually write out all 14 content ideas for each one of your pillars. Don't forget to repeat the same process that we just did, which is to create your 13 ideas. Make sure you have a clear, specific secret sauce or voice on that topic, and go ahead and repeat that process 3 more times. Set aside some time in your calendar to do this before the new year, so you'll have a year's worth of content mapped out for you before the year even starts. Step number 4, my favorite step, is to use MeetEdgar to recycle your blogs and videos every single week. So this is something that I find so cool. What my whole idea is to not be spending so much time on social or creating content or, thinking of new things to talk about, but instead use the stuff that I've already created, that I've made really high value blogs and videos and Instagram stories, and recycle them. And that's where MeetEdgar kind of saved my sanity, because you can do something really cool. So what we like to do is every single week we have some time where we reschedule our blog posts, our freebies, and our videos. Our old ones, not the one that I'm creating this week, are ones that we've created in weeks past, and we reshare those to our audience in case people have missed it. So even, during this workshop, I can see that some people are coming in towards the end and they missed the beginning. This is literally how your whole business runs. People come in one day, some people have been there for 6 months, some people have been there for years, some people just found you today. So it's really great to always keep sharing this content that you're putting so much work into creating each and every week with your audience. So every week, as you create that new content, you can create a recurring schedule in ConvertKit, or sorry, in MeetEdgar, and share your old stuff in this recurring way. So what we like to do is we share our blogs on Mondays. We share some of our old Instagram stories that are educational and relate to that content that I just put out this week. And then we share our freebies on Wednesdays. We share our videos on Thursdays. And you can see how this really adds up to putting out so much more content than I'm actually creating. All I'm doing is creating once per week, but all of that ends up becoming an asset in my business and warming people up. And I know that every piece of content I create is right. I know that it has a call to action in it. I know it's going to lead people to my freebie. I know it's talking about my unique voice on the topic, so people are seeing me as an expert. And I know that it's leading people to my offer. So this is a really cool thing that you can do. If you're wondering how you do that, you use the recurring schedule section, and you can do however much or little you like in terms of recurring. Some of my clients just do this one where they schedule out their blog posts again later on in the week. So let's say you posted, your blog on Tuesday. On Thursday, you can post one of your previous blogs from before using Edgar. How long do you recycle before you retire a piece of content? We never retire our content. We let it live on and on and on and on. Because what's really cool is as you create more content, you end up spacing out even further how often that piece of content is shared. So in the beginning, let's say you have 5 pieces of content. Every 5 weeks, it's going to come back to this blog post here, right? But every week you're adding one more and one more and one more. And so eventually it only is, reshared every 10 weeks or every 15 weeks or every 20 weeks. And now it's like, it's really doesn't seem too repetitive. Does that make sense? So I want you to ask yourself, when will you recycle your content? And I want you to add this date to Edgar as well. What frequency are you reposting? We repost every single week. For your freebies, do you connect each one as a lead magnet to email with specific delivery or offer a freebie library that everyone can just access? Great question, Michelle. Again, totally your call, but I personally do each one individually because I like to send people down specific sequences depending on what they have opted in for. We schedule our posts, our Instagram posts using Edgar. Well, we schedule all of our posts using Edgar too. So you can to be shared on Facebook, or if you're scheduling a post that goes with your content, we can schedule that using Edgar. So you can schedule it both that week as well as creating the recurring schedule as well. Who is we? Me and the people on my team, I guess. Is IG Instagram? Yes. Awesome. Okay, cool. Plus, I wanted to share with you something cool that we're doing just for those of you here on this webinar live. My team and I, so the we that we just talked about, have set aside time in the next couple of weeks in December and January to talk to you personally about how you can apply systems into your business starting today, if that's something that you're interested in doing. If you see this and you're like, whoa, this is a whole different way of looking at putting out content and just looking at my business systematically in general, then we put aside time to chat with you guys on what we call a systems assessment. And here's what we do on the assessments. They're really fun. Basically what we do is we work with you to craft a step-by-step game plan so that you can get crystal clear on a couple things. One, what is your it can be super productive. I can be super unproductive in one area and super productive in another area. And we want to find out what yours is. Plus, we're going to talk about anything that might be holding you back from getting to that next level that you want to get to in your business. Plus, what your next big goal is and the strategy that I recommend to get you there based on that goal that you share with us. These are totally free. We want to share it with you for a couple of reasons. One, we really just like chatting with entrepreneurs and talking about systems. We believe that systems and being super productive in your business is the quickest way to get to your end goal, whatever that looks like. So whether that's, working 4 days a week, or whether that's, finally putting out your, putting your business on autopilot so that you can finally write your book, or like whatever your thing is, we believe that productivity and systems are the quickest way to get you there. But there is a bit of a catch. Let me tell you who this is for. This is only for somebody who can check off both of these boxes. Number one, You must be incredible at what you do. We are focused on productivity and strategy. We are not here to help you become an expert at running a nonprofit or being a nutritionist or whatever all of those things are that you shared with me. So you have to be incredible at what you do. You just want to have systems and processes and workflows in place that allow you to be able to serve more people and make a bigger impact. And number two, you have to be ready to implement strategy. This is what we talk about. It is all about systems and strategy, and you have to be ready to implement in order for these calls to be impactful for you. So if you check both of those boxes, then go ahead and sign up for a systems assessment. Like I said, they're totally free, but spots are limited. So go to alyssacoleman.ca/call and you can snag one of those, and we can talk about all of these things we talked about here today, but also just running a productive business in general, if that's something you're interested in. Okay, let me see a couple of these questions. I see that there are like 5 over here. Okay, Megan says, what if your business has different topics or content on different days of the week? For example, Monday might be motivational topics and Tuesday is teamwork or development. Okay, so our theme for Instagram for the week, Megan, can you update me on that, Megan? Okay, oh wait, actually there is an update. So let's say one of your pillars is products or supplements. With 13 pillars for that, just be going into detail about each product. Megan, what's your business? I'd love to get a little bit more clear there. So for example, if you're a product-based business, what I would actually prefer that you do is have specific ways of leading people to your product. So let's say I'm a supplement company and I have like 5 different supplements. One is about, one is like a collagen supplement, one is an iron supplement, whatever, right? I might have one of my pillars be all about how to grow really strong hair and nails and have, stronger skin and stuff like that. And in that pillar, I'm going to put out both high value content about, different things that you can do for really, or drink water or whatever it is. But I'm also going to say one of the best ways to do that is by taking a collagen supplement. So then it leads to my product. Does that answer your question, Megan? If you sell physical products, Asia, I think I just answered that. Okay, we're going to be offering a free app that allows health, wellness, and beauty service professionals a way to brand themselves and be searchable to new and existing clients. Could that be a freebie? Yeah, your app is both the offer and the freebie. Yeah, in your case, you have a really great system going on there. Let me see. Are there any more questions coming up here? How would you use pillars as a service-based business? You would absolutely use them as a service-based business. So if you are a makeup artist or a stylist, you could talk about, so this is where I would love to know like what your specific angle is. So if you're a makeup artist for weddings, maybe I would have a whole topic that's all about like, maybe one of my pillars is like whimsical weddings. And I would be sharing about like 5 different ways to have a whimsical wedding. I don't know if that's a thing. And one of the things that I would share within that post would be how to do your makeup or how to style or what to wear for a whimsical type wedding. So that would be the like style for that pillar. So what are the things that you are known for? Cool. And Megan also shared that they have live office hours as well that will answer some more of the questions of like logistically how to do some of that stuff that I shared that we do with Edgar, because it definitely, the first time you do it, it's not, yeah, the first time you do it, you might look at it and be like, how do I recycle my posts? But they have so many cool office hours and like trainings and stuff like that that really help. Okay, awesome. Okay, does anybody else have any questions? I think I answered all of the ones in the actual question area. So let me know if I didn't get to yours during the actual training. If you're a new company and just starting out, I don't want to be redundant. How long would you wait to start cycling? Great point, Krista. I would maybe wait like maybe after 5 weeks of putting out content in this way, you could then start repurposing that content and recycling it. And then you would be sharing it every 5 weeks, and then you would add one, and then it would be every 6 weeks, kind of like I shared before. What would you say the difference is between a tripwire and an offer? Tripwire is a really small offer, so something that's like $7 to $47 at the max. And maybe if you want to have a bigger offer, then I would say like that's your main offer. Anything that's like over $100 is your main offer, and you could have a tripwire as just like a small thing. And the reason that we love tripwires is they get, number one, it starts to get your audience buying from you, which obviously we love, but we're not going to get rich from like $9 products. But when somebody purchases from you, if it's a super high value product, then they're more likely to purchase your higher ticket product because they've it's almost like a sample at like Costco or something like that, right? Once you've tried it and you're like, whoa, that was actually really good, I'm gonna buy the whole bag. Similar to that. April, you can sign up at alyssacoleman.ca/call. Thanks for sharing that, Bree. What platform do you use to create tripwires? I create them in Canva. Do you advise about ad placement or SEO? No, I do not, Laura, for those things. Okay, amazing, you guys. Thank you so much for coming. Okay, wait, there's a couple more questions. Do you share one post and related content on all channels on the same day, or do you switch it up? The first time that we post, so like the week that it comes out, we share on different channels every single day. So like, let's say my video comes out on Tuesday. So today my IGTV came out, and we also sent out an email. Tomorrow there'll be a post about it. Thursday there will be a reel about it. And so that's kind of how we do it. When we're recycling it, we put the same content out on all different platforms on the same day. That's my personal preference, but I think, all of those, I think it could work either way. How do you prefer to refresh content? Stuck on how to do this for blog posts in particular. How to refresh content. Meredith, can you clarify what you mean for that? When you repurpose content, do you change anything or just keep all the copy the same? I keep it all the exact same. One cool thing that you can do with Edgar with blog posts or with anything, but specifically, I love the way they do it with blogs. If I'm about to put a blog into Edgar, it will actually suggest 5 alternate titles for when I share it again. So sometimes we will switch up the title just to, see what is interesting to some people and what's interesting to other people, but we same. Is there a program used to create tripwires and actually process them like Kartra? Oh, I understand. No, we process them just through an email. So after somebody purchases, we send them an email with the actual tripwire inside. So we use a payment processor called ThriveCart, where someone puts in their name and email, they pay, and then I deliver the actual product to them. Are you using a template for Canva tripwire? You can absolutely, Bree. And I really like to purchase like design templates on Creative Market if you want to. Itself says my main offer is about sustainable business. Should I select 4 pillars related to my main offer or 2 different offers? If you just have one main offer, I would create 4 pillars that all lead to that one offer. I'm wondering, what do you change in a blog post to spruce it up before you reshare it, or to keep it exactly the same? Okay, I did kind of answer that, Meredith. Hopefully that helps your situation. Great. Jess, I think maybe it might have booked up in December. I would go to January. We have a community on Facebook, but always try to engage more. How much is too much for social media posting per day? Honestly, I don't know the answer to that one. Maybe you guys do at Edgar, but I share a lot per day. Alyssa, I've paid for trainings that weren't a quarter as clear as hell. That's so sweet of you. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Can a quiz be used to segment pillars? Bree, that's such a great idea. And one thing that we actually do in our email sequence is sometimes we'll ask people right at the beginning of our sequence, hey, are you more interested in this, this, or this? And then depending on what they click, we'll send them more content that's like that. Or if you have an audience that has a couple different, entrepreneurs and that are just starting their business and some entrepreneurs that want to scale their business, we would ask them a question, which one are you? And then send them content based on their answer. So I really like that idea. Yes. Okay, how many boards do you recommend having on Pinterest? We actually boards, and I think the more the better. That's my topic. That's my take on the topic. What platform or service do you use for all your email marketing? I use ConvertKit, which I kind of accidentally shared a little bit earlier. I really like it. They're a great email marketing platform. And I do have I have a blog post all about ConvertKit if you're interested. Just search my website and we'll tell you a little bit more about how I use it if you want. Okay, so amazing. Thank you guys so much for having me and for coming and committing to planning out your content for a full year. Don't forget to go into your workbook and repeat the process for the next 3 pillars so that you have a full year of content planned out and you're going to feel really, really empowered to create super high value content that converts for your audience all next year. If you do want to book a strategy session with us, you can do that at alyssacoleman.ca/call. And I'm so excited to be able to talk to more of you face-to-face really soon. Okay, see you guys.